No doubt about it, Chance the Rapper is versatile. The Chicago rapper is one of the most exciting male rappers to watch perform, and the coloring book era is no different. He dropped video after video after performance after video after performance. Different aesthetics, all in the same era. But there's a curse in versatility. Once you found something that works, people expect you to stay there. Where is the room for character development? What if life takes you in a different direction than your original expected trajectory? Is it fair for fans to expect artists to crank out similar, consistent content year after year? Let's examine the commodity of creative freedom. But first, where are my manners? Hey, what's up? Hello, and welcome to Queen Z's World. If you've been here before and you're subscribed, what up, worldlings? If you're new here, this is how you gain your citizenship to Queen Z's World. Watch some of my older videos, comment on your top 5, then come back here and let me know you did it. Get it? Got it? Good. Now, let's get into the video. From what he's told us in the music, Twitter, and in interviews, Chance was going down a pretty dark path. 10 Day, his first mixtape that really blew up, was created during his senior year of high school. So all his fame really happened after that. Imagine, you're done high school, you blow up, you're really famous, you have access to this lifestyle that you've heard about in the music of the people who you listen to, you've always dreamed about, and some of it may compromise some of the morals that you were raised with, but hey, like, I can't imagine anybody will wild out, right? We all make questionable decisions, like the time that I dropped $100 at Michael's on craft supplies and stickers.
No, I wasted my money. So send me my money back now.
Terrible financial decision. We're moving on. But for Chance, it was Koi Castle. Bottom line is, we all make mistakes. It's really part of growing up. It also makes for some pretty interesting stories. His sophomore project, Acid Rap, dropped in 2014. Now, this was the peak of his experimentation with drugs and with music. If you listen back to it, you can tell he wasn't in the best place. And instead of getting the help he needed or finding healthier outlets, he did turn to drugs, which, you know, it did influence the music, and Acid Rap did well, but this wasn't healthy. Although some of the songs on there are hot, even Chance has said, like, this is not his best work, and he wasn't really in the headspace to perfect it. But even in those dark times, there was a light. I tell this part of the story because I think it's hilariously relatable to anybody who grew up with a religious or spiritual family. Listen, sometimes I wonder how some of these artists like make music and they still go home to their parents, because I'm like, yo.
And I want you to read these lyrics to Dorothy Dandridge. Go ahead, read those to her.
It would be embarrassing.
Read them to her.
Pop my butt, pop my butt. Pop my butt, pop my butt.
Do you know what pop my butt meant to Harriet Tubman? Do you know what that meant? It meant a whip.
And when his grandma found out about what was going on, she sat him down and she said, listen, we are going to have a prayer. She prayed, Lord, I pray that all things that are not from you be taken away from Chance. Make sure that he fails at anything that is not like you. Take it away. Turn it to dust. Somebody felt that right there. That was for somebody right there. Do not play with these church mothers, the prayer warriors. Listen, after that prayer, it was really a turning point for him. I feel like this is the moment that sparked the song that introduced me to Chance, Sunday Candy. I'm really glad that his family was looking out for him, because listen, like, sometimes people who don't know you can hype you up as you're doing the wrong thing and be like, yeah, go ahead, go do it. But when you have your family to keep you accountable, listen, it's something different. Now, he also cites a second wake-up call. At the beginning of 2015, his on and off girlfriend, Kirsten Corley, aka K-Dog, got pregnant. Chance grew up in a 2-parent household, so he knew the importance of being there for his child. This really caused him to clean up his life, because you can't smoke around a baby, man. Like, you just can't do it. So these moments all coming together in his life, and probably more that he hasn't shared, made him really start putting things into perspective. He started thinking about the path that he was going on, the trajectory he was on, how his career was going, and who he was becoming as a person. Even before he came back to the church, Chance says that he would just blast Kirk Franklin and gospel music at 6 a.m. in his California Coy Castle. I might actually go ahead and call my house the Coy Castle. That name is tough. But he started blasting the worship music around the house. I think this really gave him a sense of familiarity as he was living in a completely different state than he grew up in. It also kind of just like started getting him thinking about God again. And also, worship music hits different when you're going through something. In 2015, Donnie Trumpet and the Social Experiment, of which Chance was a part of, released the project Surf. His long-term music friends and partners, Nico Siegel, Styx, No Name, Peter Cottontail, and a whole bunch of other local Chicago artists started collabing a lot at that time. And it's actually really cool. If you listen to their individual respective projects, you can hear their influences on each other. Around this time, Kanye West, also from Chicago, started working on The Life of Pablo. Now, Twitter, do you remember this? Do any of y'all remember when Kanye asked us on Twitter to guess the title of this album? All he gave us was TLOP. I think my guess was something like The Love of Pain, because I was thinking about like my dark twisted fantasy era. Do you guys remember that? Like, were you there? If so, what was your guess? Because he said he was offering, I don't know if it was like free tickets or a free copy to whoever could guess it. I don't remember, and he's since deleted his Twitter like 11 times since then, so we can't find it, but yo, that was a moment. Now, working with Kanye was huge for Chance, especially as a newcomer. Chance, like all of us, grew up listening to Kanye. His previous work has always included references to Mr. West. Understandably, working with Kanye was a huge deal and had a major influence on Chance's next project. In an interview with Zane Lowe, Chance acknowledged that The Life of Pablo and Coloring Book, his third project, were very much connected. I remember when I was first listening to The Life of Pablo, the sound was very experimental, as Kanye loves to do. And like, it wasn't for me, but there were a few songs that I liked on there, right? They're like maybe 5. And then tell me why, when I look at the producer credits and the writing credits, all the songs I liked were co-produced or co-written by Chance. How is it that I naturally gravitated towards his sound? That's when I was like, okay, no, it's official. This guy is my music crush. Anything he comes out with, I want to hear more. Now, these are the conditions in which Coloring Book was birthed. From what I gathered, and Chance can correct me if I'm wrong, the project was completed in 2 months. It was released on May 13th, 2016. Yo, guys, I remember like, I was in grade 11. I had just discovered Tokyo's Heaven Only Knows. And I was like, yo, I love this too. This is when I started like looking deeper into the discography of Chance. I was listening to Sunday Candy, Heaven Only Knows, Waves on The Life of Pablo. Coloring Book came just in time as I was looking for more content from this artist they called Chance the Rapper. I looked for a storyline in the album sequencing, but I couldn't find anything in particular. In cases like this, it's best to go to the live shows. Now, on tour, artists get to give their projects a whole new life. They get to add some theatrical elements and some in-between segments that kind of like contextualize the whole thing. Along with the interviews, the tour really did put a lot of things into perspective. But before we get into that, let's just compare the mixtape sequencing to the tour set list. On the mixtape, we start with All We Got, followed by No Problem, Summer Friends, Drum Sing Special, Blessings, Same Drugs, Mixtape, Angels, Juke Jam, All Night, How Great, Smoke Break, and one of my favorites, Finish Line, Drown. And we finish with Blessings Reprise. On the tour, he started with Angels, Blessings, Smoke Break, Juke Jam, Same Drugs, No Problem, Mixtape, All Night, Special, Grown Ass Kid, All We Got, How Great, Finish Line, Drown, Blessings Reprise, and closed with Summer Friends. Now I want you to take a good look at it, not just to admire my penmanship. The only thing that is consistently in order is that Mixtape is the 7th track. Oh, Mixtape and How Great actually are both in the same position. Don't know if that's significant, don't know if that means anything to anyone, but I just wanted to let y'all know. Not gonna lie, like I still don't really get it, but I guess I'd have to watch the tour again to kind of like catch more of the storyline, and I'm sure like the more you get into the lore and the world building, the more it will make sense. That being said, I still recognize the sequencing has significance and there is an underlying storyline. So I'm gonna do my best and see if I can figure it out and come up with some type of summary, all right? I'm gonna try to summarize it. Coloring book is Chance's testimony. Growing up and getting closer to God, but also old habits dying hard. Sometimes he's sad, he's nostalgic, reminisces on childhood, and laments on how quickly his childhood evaporated. There are friends he's lost along the way, some he grew apart from, and others have passed away. Other times, he's really happy. He boasts about his maintenance of his artistic integrity and how he's just free on his music to say what he wants to say, how he wants to say it, when he wants to say it. His responsibilities are bigger than himself, and he can no longer maintain this frat boy lifestyle. Now he needs to man up and raise his family, which he's so excited to do and really wants to do the right way. This is when he feels God's blessing over his life, shining in approval. Now you'll notice the presence of an extra track on the tour set list, Grown Ass Kid. It's really upbeat and very signature Chance, especially during this coloring book era. Unfortunately, the sample didn't get cleared for the album, and I was wondering where in the album sequencing it would have been. And I found out that Grown Ass Kid would have actually been the 11th track, in between All Night and How Great. This actually would have tied the story together. Because we jumped from like up to How Great. I'm like,
when do it becomes...
This is the track where Chance realizes he has to grow up and let go of the things that are just immature and irrelevant for the life that he is currently creating for himself. In it, he said, "Now watch how I move. Different chapters, decisions, missions, visit pastors." The themes of outgrowing his previous lifestyle are in it heavy. And he kind of also says, like, look, this is the new me, and if y'all don't like it, we don't do the same drugs no more, all right, it's fine, you know, but this is now me. I'm moving into this part of my life where I'm mature, I'm responsible, and I'm still gonna have fun, but that fun is gonna look a little different now that I have a whole family. Grown Ass Kid is the missing piece in Chance's storyline on Coloring Book, and it's really hard to find any traces of it on the internet. I also want to note there are 3 tracks on there with J. Cole, Big Sean, and Jeremiah that also did not get cleared for the mixtape. Maybe they would have provided more context into Coloring Book's storyline, or maybe we already have all the tracks we need to get the gist of the story. I guess we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know.
From the jump, what drew me to Coloring Book was the sound. From the first 2 tracks, it just had me hooked. All We Got and No Problem are an amazing way to start a record. Coloring Book is sonically cohesive with a few exceptions. I say this with full confidence with my chest. 5 years later, Coloring Book has almost no skips. And even with the songs that are not sonically cohesive, they kind of add to that flavor and that imagery of like coloring outside of the lines, you know? I remember talking to one of my friends at that time about like what his favorite song was on Coloring Book. And he said it literally depends on the day. And that's the truth. Even though I may not like every track, I will always respect an artist who experiments, because that's how you learn and grow. Pharrell said,
my favorite things that Pharrell told me, he's like, do you know how you never age as a musician? You never date yourself as a musician. He's like, you never forget that there's something to learn.
Now the gospel music sound is what makes this album distinct. Think back to the part in his testimony where he said he started listening to a lot of Kirk Franklin and Fred Hammond and gospel artists who are legends in those fields. So I guess you could say that worship music was instrumental to the making of this project. Because of all the gospel music he was listening to, Chance says that he really got into arranging, and this is still his strength to this day. What I appreciate the most about him is, like, if you listen to his live shows, like for example Tiny Desk, there's always something slightly different as he plays his discography. It's never just the exact same as the album or mixtape version. Like sometimes he'll add in a new verse or switch a lyric here and there, you know, based on what's relevant and what's happening. And I really like that because it keeps the music fresh. It's kind of like the music is alive, living and breathing and changing with the artist.
Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, completely not ever been done before, unafraid to reference or not reference, put it in a blender, vomit on it, eat it, give birth to it.
My favorite videos to watch are the jam sessions as filmed by GQ, and also the music video for How Great. Is our God. Name above all names. Name above all names. Scripture is laced throughout the album in the lyrics and the production influences. This is kind of similar to Lauryn Hill's Miseducation, another artist who Chance is inspired by. Lauryn Hill is a legend, period. Okay, question. Do you think she's a better singer than rapper or rapper than singer? Think about it. Like the way that she has the range to be equally powerful at both, I really aspire to be like that as an artist. Like, she's crazy. The gospel influences are sometimes more overt, like the literal cover of How Great Is Our God, down to the Bible verses, you know, weaved in the lyrics. But there is one that actually surprised me. There's a reference that I'm sure none of us caught. Can you guess where it is? The second track, No Problem. It was actually produced by Brass Tracks, right? So I was watching their Genius interview as they were talking about the production behind it and how they really came up with the track. I was mesmerized while watching the entire video, but there's one little Easter egg that really took me by surprise. I will speak noble things here, for I will speak noble things, all the words in my mouth are righteous.
Herefore I will speak noble things. They say that 3 times, and then all the words in my mouth are righteous.
All the words in my mouth are righteous.
Talented, brilliant, unafraid to reference or not reference.
This really made me nostalgic, guys. Anyone else? Like, 2016 was just that year for music, right? If anyone else is like me and you also missed that, like, coloring book era Chance, I really recommend you check out the discographies of everyone he collabed with on that project, especially around 2015, 2016. Because like I said, they worked with each other a lot and they really all influenced each other. I made a playlist on Spotify, which I will make public just for you, and we can listen and reminisce together just for you. Link in the description. Okay, so remember how we were talking about Kanye earlier in the influences section? Mr. West had a huge impact, especially on this project. Okay, I'm gonna go down a Kanye West rabbit hole, but stick with me, guys. I'm going somewhere. Number 1, Chance grew up listening to Kanye. On Acid Rock, Good Ass Intro was actually a sample from Kanye West's Get Well Soon. He even says at the end of the song, you did a good ass job, you did a good ass job, way before they met. Second, as aforementioned, Bennett got the chance to work with Kanye on The Life of Pablo back when Chance 3 was still a concept. This is also why there are gospel influences on TLOP. Chance said that while working with Kanye, he also got the opportunity to play some of his music in the background. And that sparked some conversations about faith and life and a whole bunch of the concepts that we see in both projects. Third point, Chance also said he sampled Kanye directly, taking the leftovers from TLOP and flipping it for his own project.
It wasn't necessarily that we sat down and wrote together in a room or that we bounced ideas in a traditional way. I literally like sampled Ye, you know? I literally like took what he gave me in a session of freestyles and sat with it and worked with it. And he had given me all the pieces that I need to make what I wanted to make.
In that same interview, Chance revealed an upcoming collab with Kanye.
I think the main thing that we want to connect on is this project called Good Ass Job. Like, that's a thing that we talked about a long time ago, and I think everything that we've been working on together has been sort of a piece of it.
At the time of this recording, that project isn't out yet, but longtime Kanye West fans are actually not surprised. And I'm about to tell you why. Humor me as I explore the lore behind Kanye West and Good Ass Job. Shout out to djbooth.net. Link in the description for the full story. Originally, Kanye West's Good Ass Job was supposed to be the 4th installment following the storyline of College Dropout 2004, Late Registration 2005, and Graduation 2007. However, 2007 was a really difficult and dark time for Kanye West. Not only did he break up with his long-term girlfriend, Alexis Pfeiffer, but his mom passed away unexpectedly. Instead of GAJ, he released 808s and Heartbreaks, which came out in 2008. And after that, his creative direction completely changed. Following 808s, Dark Twisted Fantasy also solidified that switch. At this point, it had been a whole decade, 10 years, since the original tetralogy was first conceptualized. Any artists out there know that 10 years is a long time, especially when your inspiration changes like the weather. In 2010, Kanye told MTV News, and I quote, "I remember I just changed it because I didn't want to do the Good Ass Job thing and have to stick to the skits and everything that went with that." He also tweeted this. All that to say, don't hold your breath. If we get it, cool, but if we don't, we kind of already knew what to expect. So what's crazy about this is a lot of Chance's fans actually turned on him. For some, they're just not into the new sound. Others just can't relate to the material. I mean, I guess it is because like he's in a different part of his life. So it's not uncommon to hear a lot of Chance's critics say, "He's changed." But to them I say, yeah, that's the point. Didn't you hear Coloring Book? Coloring Book is about outgrowing things that no longer serve you. Now he's a father of 2, married, in his late 20s, and at a completely different part of his life. What he looked like at 28 years old rapping about 18-year-old shenanigans. Come on now.
Sorry, I'm sorry. But I mean every word. I mean every word.
And I just want to see the hands of everybody who's the same person they were in 2012 or 2013.
I guess not.
And if you are... So there you have it. The beauty of having full creative control of your own artistic direction is the possibilities are endless. In completing Coloring Book, Chance's vision for the 3 mixtapes was fulfilled. Here's what he said in his own words.
I know that I did the 3 projects exactly how I wanted to, and that they were mixtapes, and that's where I came from.
Trilogy's perfect. Does it feel like now that cap signifies the end of that particular era for you in some respects?
I think for sure. Yeah. Like, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm not making any more mixtapes. For sure, that mode of projects was its own thing. And I had to make certain statements because I was in the climate that I was in. And I think everything will continue to change, but I think we do have to think about being inclusive in terms of artists that don't necessarily have a label attached to them or want to release music commercially, because that doesn't have anything to do with artistic excellence, which is what they celebrate. 10 Day was all about getting suspended. Acid Rap was a lot about acid. Coloring Book was a lot about being a father and God. Coloring Book was like a trilogy of itself, like, you know, one aesthetic, whatever my next thing is, it'll be, I think, just a little, like a bit bigger. Like it'll be a movie or it'll be a play, but something I think a little bit different.
And now that begs the question, what has Chance done since 2016? Did he accomplish everything he set out to do? In his interviews, he promised big things. Project with Jay-Elect, with J. Cole, with Kanye, touring Africa, releasing a Chicago version of No Problem, touring with Social X, and releasing a traditional album. Did he accomplish that? That's something I would only know if I had a conversation with him. But in the meantime, we can reflect on the legacy of Coloring Book and just appreciate the era for what it was. Since then, he's done a lot for Chicago. He continues to invest in his community and pave the way for people coming after him. And that is very admirable. It's not an easy thing to do. I've also seen Chance grow as an artist in 2020. If you haven't already, I recommend you check out his virtual concerts. Homeboy is raising the bar, okay? And I don't say that lightly. I don't throw that around. There are 4 virtual concerts that he released closer to the end of 2020. Ben Had Polo, For the Ride, Ujamaa Means For Us, By Us, and the hour-long Chi-Town special. Each of those concerts is unique, is creative, is different, and show off some of his directorial skills. Now, I'm really looking forward to see this magnificent coloring tour movie, and I'm so excited to see him continue to elevate his own craft. And see, this is why I prefer artists who think outside the box. This is Queen Z. Stay classy, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.